What is up, duelists? Welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today I'm showcasing my first deck that I brought to locals after this new ban list. I was very hyped to play the TCG, and I experimented a little bit with a deck that I've been seeing floating around the internet. Primite Fiendsmith, pairing Primite cards with Fiendsmith. There's also a Summon Skull in there, so that was quite fun. Ended up winning locals with it, and hope you enjoyed today's report. Before we hop right in, I want to give a little shout out to my locals, relatively new store that opened that last year. So I'm trying to grow the local community. Not a sponsor, but if you live close to Grünberg in Hessen in Germany, you might want to check out their link in the description down below. Without further ado, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get in there. I also played in a tournament this weekend, not a major one, but I did go back to locals after a while, which I was pretty happy to finally do again. And I decided to bring something a little more experimental, something we've actually messed around with in Master Duel last week. And I decided to bring my boy Summon Skull to locals. I am happy to report that my locals has actually gotten a little bit more competitive, I feel like. You know, they started last year, so it's still a relatively fresh locals. But this time I went, and it was 4 rounds, and my matchups were actually quite solid new format testing. I played against Fiendsmith Malice. I played against Primite Blue Eyes. I played against one of the new Tachyon Galaxy deck, and I played against one Fiendsmith Bestial Tenpai. So actual meta decks for the most part, and I was happy to test against those. It was a lot of fun. I did end up going undefeated with Primite Fiendsmith is the deck that we've also played in Master Duel last week, and I'm going to go through it real quick and explain what's going on here, because I mean, the Summon Skull, you might think it's a meme. I do think the deck is actually quite solid. It's not, I don't know if it's the best deck in the format, probably not, but it was pretty fun to use. We'll talk about it. So for the Primite, you play 2 vanillas. White Dust On, which is the only Light Fiend vanilla as far as I'm aware of. I'm pretty sure it's the only one. So you have to play the Proudest of them all to go into Fiendsmith with the Primate cards, and I'll show you in a second what exactly the lines there are. There's also a Summon Skull in here, and I will explain why the Summon Skull I feel like needs to be here, because of course having to play 2 vanillas is not ideal, but I'll tell you why I think the Summon Skull kind of needs to be here. And all you have to know up until this point is that it's the biggest level 6 Fiend vanilla. So that's why it's Summon Skull. It's not just Summon Skull because he's cool. He is cool, but there's other reasons for it. So the Primite engine, I decided to go with 3 Primite Ether Barrel, 3 Primite Lordly Load, 2 Drill Beams, and 1 copy of Primite Roar. Now, 2 copies of Drill Beam I think is particularly important in this deck, because this deck focuses very heavily on the grind game. And when you use 1 Drill Beam on the first turn, what happens is you have it in the graveyard, and on the second turn, obviously you're going to try to normal summon your Ether Barrel again, reset the Drill Beam from your graveyard. But if you get to another Lordly Load, you want to be able to search another Drill Beam to immediately activate, which is pretty neat. To be able to get into that loop where you can keep banishing a card on your turn and on their turn. And then Primite Roar is a card that you will not usually see in like the Primite Blue Eyes, for example. So let me explain that one real quick. This is basically unexpected die for Primite, for vanillas as well. Pay 2,000 life points, declare a normal monster card name. If you control no monsters, you can special summon that vanilla from your deck. So this is how the Primite cards can give you access to White Dust On and perform Fiendsmith combo. And this is one of the reasons why there's also a Summon Skull in this deck, because Primite Roar has a secondary effect that says if your opponent normal summons a monster, you can banish this card from your grave. Target a normal monster you control or in your graveyard, banish a monster from the field with less attack than that monster. Unfortunately, White Dust On is weak, 0 attack. So with Primite Roar, in order to turn Primite Roar into a disruption, you need a vanilla with attack points. And since this deck is very grindy, it is very good if the Primite engine gets you to not only Fiendsmith combo plus a disruption. That's really nice. So like you need something with some attack points to be able to banish their normal summon with Primite Roar. So that is the Primite part of the deck. We'll get into that in a second, how that exactly works. And then of course there's a Fiendsmith package. Only one Lacrima because you want to normal summon your Ether Barrel if you can. 2 Fiendsmith Tract and 1 Fiendsmith in Paradise. Very simple. So the idea of this deck basically is that you ideally, in a perfect world, you draw access to both of your engines. As long as you see 2 engine cards, it's fine either way. So I'll show you what you do. Let's say if you just draw the Primite Ether Barrel, how you can go into Fiendsmith. So Ether Barrel will be your normal summon. It'll set a Primite spell trap from your deck, which will be the Lordly Load. You'll activate the Lordly Load, and that will give you the Primite Roar. And that's another reason to play multiple Drill Beams, by the way, is that if you only open Ether Barrel, you don't want to search the Drill Beam here. You want to search the Primate Roar, and that's why drawing the Drill Beam is actually nice. So that way you can like set up both. Like if you draw this is actually good because you have another target. And then, because Primate Roar requires you to have no monsters on the field, you actually have to use the Ether Barrel's effect to send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's another reason why you need another vanilla, because if you don't have the Summon Skull, you have to send the White Dust on here to free up your board. And you'd have to activate this and then chain the Primate Roar, which you could, but then you wouldn't get a vanilla send. So if you do play the Summon Skull, sending it here will give you a disruption later with the Primate Roar. Anyways, this is how you get into the White Dust on, and then you can do Fiendsmith from here. And then if you draw either vanilla, you don't combo. No, that's not true. If you draw the Summon Skull, you go effect of this and then chain Primate Roar. It's fine. And if you draw Ether Barrel plus Dust on, you just normal summon Dust on. Either way, it's fine. Zoa is bigger. Yeah, you need level 6. Summon Skull being level 6 matters for rank 6 play with Engraver. But yeah, obviously, we don't have to go about the Fiendsmith combo. You can do Fiendsmith off of the White Dust on here. And then you have Fiendsmith in rotation, which is a rank 6. It's Fiendsmith in Paradise and its follow-up. You have Primate Roar, which is a banish on their normal summon off of just 1 card, which is pretty... That's like 3 disruptions off of 1 card. And obviously the deck plays a lot of non-engine. If you draw access to your Fiendsmith cards already, like let's say you have an Engraver or you have a Tract or anything of that nature, you don't have to search the Primate Roar. You can just search Primate Drill Beam and then do your Fiendsmith combo with your Fiendsmith cards and then have a Drill Beam on top of it, which is really nice. Usually, you will make the Drill Beam live by using, at the end of your combo, you use Primate Lordly Load to call either White Dust on or Summon Skull to just have a vanilla out there for Drill Beam to be activatable, basically. So the entire idea of the deck is to just set up Fiendsmith combo and follow up, and Primate interruptions and follow up, and both of these engines are pretty good at doing that, and are pretty good at having very like strong disruptions actually, and strong grind game as well. The big downside of this deck is these 3 right here. I feel like that is the one thing that I didn't love about this deck. Is of course sometimes you're gonna draw these cards now. Depending on individual situations, drawing White Dust on can be completely fine. The deck overall has 6 normal summons. So if you draw White Dust on and no other normal summon, it's actually okay. You know, there's been a fair amount of games where I just like normal summon White Dust on and it's been okay. Drawing Fiendsmith in Paradise is basically the same as drawing Fiendsmith in Paradise in any Fiendsmith deck. If you can get to Desiree, it can be quite strong to have access to that card. Otherwise, it's not going to be great. And Summon Skull is the most annoying one to draw by far, because the only purpose of Summon Skull in your hand is essentially being able to activate Drill Beam. You know, like sometimes you draw a Drill Beam and a Summon Skull and you're like, okay, that's actually all right. You know, drawing the Summon Skull here is fine. The main reason why I think it has to be Summon Skull is in some lines, if you get disrupted, let's say you get Bestialed on one of, like, let's say you start with Requiem into Lacrima, into Send Something, into Necroquip, and then you try to bring back your Engraver and it gets Bestialed. You can use the Lordly Load to bring out the Summon Skull, which is a level 6 Fiend, and then you can make a rank 6 with these 2. In some instances, because this deck plays a lot of non-engine and a lot of hand traps as well, sometimes when you do the Fiendsmith combo and you get to this point, you can also technically use the Lordly Load to get the Summon Skull and then make a rank 6 here. That way, you can keep the Necroquip on the board to draw an extra card on your opponent's turn when you use Ash or Effect Veiler or whatever, right? And so like that, sometimes that's neat. The majority of the time, I would make a rank 6 here though, and then I would use the Lordly Load to summon Summon Skull because I wanted my Drill Beam to be live, right? Like that is the most common setup for this board is something like this. It's like a rank 6, Drill Beam, Summon Skull, and then like Lacrima, Fiendsmith in Paradise set up in the graveyard. That's like your situation. Which technically, does this deck just always get Nibiru? It is weak to Nibiru if your opponent holds it until the very end. The thing is like, for the most part, people will Nibiru you before you get to make Caesar. So it's like, it's a very advanced call. If it's like a newer deck in the format, you know, people won't they won't let you make the Caesar. The rest of the deck is just non-engine, which is basically the plan B if any of it gets interrupted. Even if you do get Nibiru'd on your combo, you know, you still have the Fiendsmith in Paradise plus your non-engine, which is quite substantial amount of non-engine. This deck can play Dominus Perch, which we were using Dominus Perch in Master Duel actually for TCG because of the, I mean, Fiendsmith is relevant in both formats. I decided to play Bestials and no Dominus Perch. But it's 3 Nib, 3 Veiler, 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, 2 Bell to counter some of the Cycle Readers that are going around, as well as some Bestials. I Belled a Called by the Grave. I feel like Bell is just like one of the more versatile ones, even though it could be replaced. The list is 41 cards, because I didn't feel bad going slightly over 40 because of, you know, the vanillas in the deck. I didn't want to draw all the time, even though, I mean, 41 doesn't make a huge difference. But yeah, I decided for some Bestials, just 4. 3 Imperms, and I still played the 1 Talents because I think Talents is pretty neat in this deck. It's very heavily focused on Fiendsmith, so if your like Requiem gets ashed, that is a fair like weak point of the deck. If you get Fuvad on your Fiendsmith combos, typically it's fine, but taking a look at their hand or trying to draw 2 into your Primate cards, which I think that's the biggest strength of this deck in the grind game, is having access to the Primate cards, right? Like the Fiendsmith cards are nice, but everyone is prepared for Fiendsmith, right? Like everyone's prepared for Fiendsmith at this point. You have to anticipate your Fiendsmith stuff getting ashed or bestialed or whatever. And that's when like the Primate grind game really comes in handy, because Drill Beam is just like such a powerful card, right? Such a powerful card. So having Talents to try and draw, if they interrupt your Fiendsmith, trying to draw into Primate, I feel like was pretty neat. And then just in general, of course, hand trap control with Fiendsmith is a concept that's been out there, so I don't feel like there's much to explain here. All of these were solid. I think Bell is definitely the most niche one out of these. I just felt like I wanted more, but maybe you don't need Bell. But it feels like Bell has applications in pretty much any matchups right now, even though it is smaller applications, it does have applications. Mainly against Bestials sometimes, even though it's not great against Bestials because they get to keep them in their hand. Extra deck is surprisingly tight, even though some of the cards I played you might not have to play. Requiem, Sequence, Agnum Day. I would love to be able to play 2 Requiem in this kind of deck, but wasn't able to fit it. Moon, SP. SP, one of the reasons why I didn't play Dominus Purge, because I felt like in a grindy deck like this, having access to SP at all times was very important. 2 Desirees, similar reasoning as to why I was using 2 Desirees in Fiendsmith Kashtira back in the day, so that if you summon one, you still have another one for Fiendsmith in Paradise. You could technically cut one, because you don't summon it very often, actually. Usually you go for a rank 6 instead. Necroquip, Caesar and Lars. I actually found myself going through multiple rank 6s in a game a lot, and so I played both. Both of these also do not work after Dominus Purge because they're water and fire, so that was another reason to not play Dominus Purge. Even without Dominus Purge, I still decided to play the Zeus package with M7 because I think that's a very powerful line to be able to add back a hand trap and then make a Zeus, or just make a 4-material Zeus. Technically, I think the what's the other one called that you can play instead of this one? There's one, like some Lancer dude. I just didn't have it. I think that's like technically better than Gaia. It doesn't really matter, but I just didn't have the Lancer rank 7, like Dark Ray, Armored Lancer, whatever. There's like 5 cards called like that, but There's one that you can put on top of M7 that also does the same thing, but it's like, I think it's slightly stronger. I'm not sure. Most of the time, you just make Zeus on top of it immediately anyways. And then Typhon and Chaos Angel, which are pretty mandatory in most Fiendsmith control decks or all Fiendsmith control decks. 2 more reasons to not play Dominus Purge. Like, that's the thing. The extra deck is the one where I think Dominus Purge clashes the most in this deck. Like, not being able to make Chaos Angel, Typhon, Caesar, Lars, or SP, and not draw with Necroquip. Because I felt like there were other hand traps to replace the Dominus Purge, I decided against it. But obviously, Dominus Purge is still a really good card. If there was more Ryziel in the format, I would probably go Dominus Purge to have more answers to Duo Drive. But with, like, you know, Fiendsmith and stuff, Bestials are also pretty powerful. The side deck I just threw together. There's not too much thought into the side deck. I played through 3 Molcharmies. I didn't want to main deck these because I felt like I did not want too many bad draws when I'm going first, because this deck does choose first. So, you know, you already have 3 cards that are not great to draw when you're going first. I didn't want it to be 6. So this is just for going second into some more combo heavy decks. 3 Droll and Lockbird, because I was a little scared of some decks that go a little bit too crazy, like Mermail. 3 DD Crows. This should probably have been Cycle Reader for Fiendsmith Mirrors. But once again, I was very scared of decks like Mermail. I think Mermail is still pretty good, and at least DD Crow can be sided against Mermail, while Ally of Justice Cycle Reader cannot. So, you know, they sent like Dragoons for cost, and you just crow it, and then you hope that's enough. Or like Shadow Squad or whatever they go for with their first thingy. That's why it's not more Bestials or Cycle Reader, is because I wanted this for... It also covers decks like Fire King. I do think DD Crow is a very strong card at the moment, because it has coverage against Fiendsmith decks, and it has coverage against the decks that are trying to play around Fiendsmith. Like, a genuine reason to play decks like Fire King or Mermail at the moment is because of how popular Bestials are. And so DD Crow kind of catches those decks. And then I wanted Solemns for going first to just replace whichever I thought the weakest non-engine in the matchup was. Like, if I'm going first and I think like, oh, Bell or Ghost Ogre or Nibiru or Bestials are not that good in a matchup, I wanted cards that I can always side going first, basically. And that was Solemns for me. So nothing too fancy with the side deck here. No crazy tech cards or anything like that, but it did its job. It was fine. Yeah, matchups. I beat Tachyon in round 1. I had Nibiru game 1, and then they played into a Fuva game 2, which gave me enough cards to break their board. I beat, yeah, I mean, would recommend. Fun deck, I think. I was like, my end board was like Caesar, Drill Beam, Roar in the Graveyard, Paradise setup, and like 2 hand traps or something. They just couldn't break it. And then game 3, I had the right hand traps for it. Which, funnily enough, I think I would have lost game 3 if Link Decoder still existed, because the only reason they couldn't play through my hand traps was because they didn't have a free body at some point. That definitely felt relevant in that game. And then for the last round, I played against the Tenpai, the version, the Fiendsmith Bestial Tenpai deck, which was pretty close. It felt pretty close to a mirror match, because they're trying to do the same thing, right? They're trying to do the same thing where it's just Bestial and Fiendsmith control, but I think my secondary engine was just better in the grind game, right? Like, my Drill Beam grind game was just better than Tenpai grind game. How do you use Roar against Malice? Just take out the once per turn? I mean, because Roar can only trigger on a normal summon, right? You don't really have much of a choice for it. You just have to use it on when they normal summon. So yeah, you do take out the normal summon. Like, they went like normal summon Dormouse. I banished it with Roar. They brought it back, but then when you banish it again, they can't bring it back. I think I even Drill Beamed it after. It was basically I traded my Primate cards for their Malice normal summon. Roar from Grave, banish the Dormouse, it comes back, activates effect, I go Drill Beam, it's banished forever. That's what I think that's what I did. And then they had to play the rest of the turn with only 2 Malice names, and the body was also gone, which was pretty good. So yeah. So that's the deck. Very fun concept, actually. Solid going second because of all the hand traps. The setup going first is not bad. Has pretty strong grind game. I enjoyed it. Only downside, once again, is sometimes you have to deal with drawing these cards, which depending on the hand can be quite awkward. Other than that, I enjoyed it a lot. Had a great time back at locals. And yeah, I mean, would recommend. Fun deck, I think.